how do you start? How do you know what stories to share for somebody in business who's thinking that? People don't realize that the stories that you share can effectively brand you. So you have to be really intentional about the stories that you share. I just wanted to state that. Like, that's how important stories are, and that's how powerful stories are, in the sense that if you can decide right now to share specific stories about specific areas of your life, in no time, on a consistent basis, in no time, people are going to see you as that person.
If you have a brand or you present any brand, one of the best things you must do for yourself and for the brand is to clearly attach yourself with the value proposition of that brand. Because the value proposition comes with an envelope full of goodies, full of pounds and dollars that explains not just the story proposition of your brand, but it also gives a lot of information about primarily a lot of intelligent factors and angles that relates to what that brand is about.
Consistency in your messaging. If you are sharing stories for business without a purpose, it will show, because over time you would have stories that are a bit disjointed.
But most importantly, as I summarize, I would encourage as many of you as possible here who is listening in. If you have a brand or you present any brand, one of the best things you must do for yourself and for the brand is to clearly attach yourself with the value proposition of that brand. Because the value proposition comes with an envelope full of goodies, full of pounds and dollars that explains not just the story proposition of your brand, but it also gives a lot of information about primarily a lot of intelligent factors and angles that relates to what that brand is about. And finally, I would like to say this to whoever is listening to me. There is no brand that can ever thrive without being authentic. Authenticity is very silent, but the volume speaks loud. And this is why we have people, this is why we have brands and people, even after many years, they still remain relevant in the market. They still remain very relevant in the media. They still remain very relevant across the board. So whilst we talk about all of these factors, I think that it is most important that I also talk about the angle to being authentic, connecting it to all what we are talking about here today. An authentic representative of that brand. This is very important that I stated this. And I don't know, Mr. Obehi Ewanfoh, there was this lady that came up on the stage. Her name is Melody. I don't know if she's still in the VIP lounge, but if she can, let her come up. I would like to encourage all of you to follow her. She's new in LinkedIn. She just recently came on board. She has so much value, both in journalism and this media and the storytelling thing that we're all talking about here. My name is Izu Samuel, and I believe that every brand must communicate their values for people to truly connect and do business with them. Over to you, Mr. Obehi
Ewanfoh. Thank you so much. You got it right. You got it right, my brother. Thank you so much for that presentation. That is really lovely, no? You see, this is a cheat here. A cheat in the sense that we're just getting all this value for free. But why are we doing it? Because we make a commitment to do this. And this is also part of the value that we are talking about here. And I think it's fundamentally important. Yes, it is important the value that you are sharing, Izu. We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you. All right, now, I got a curiosity, and of course, I'm going to be turning to Hannah Idachaba. Now, I have a feeling that somebody might be confused now. I don't know what to do anymore about balancing authenticity in business storytelling. maybe the person didn't get the message. If there is an individual like that, just one person, where would you want such a person to start from? And what should they do to correctly balance authenticity in their business storytelling? Please help us with some tips.
Alrighty, thank you so much. I just wanted to say how I have enjoyed the conversation so far. I just feel like there's so much value that we are sharing today, and I hope that people are leaving with value and just getting as much value that I'm getting, because I'm just listening in and I'm like, oh wow, I cannot believe that I'm a part of it. With that said, I want to first of all state that because I wrote something very recently around how you can successfully brand yourself with your stories, and the feedback was amazing. I was getting a lot of people in the DM saying they didn't know, and this was eye-opening. But I just wanted to reiterate that point here, because it's also in line with what we're saying today about the power of stories and how you can use your stories. And I love that we have those conversations in this room. So you can most definitely brand yourself with the kind of stories that you share. And I have found that people don't really realize that. I'm going to give you an instance. If you are sharing stories consistently about your health, say for instance, you are maybe somebody struggled through something, or they had an ailment, and they're sharing about how that affected their lives and where they are now and how they overcame that, or maybe they're still battling that ailment, right? If you are sharing those stories on a daily, weekly basis, I'm going to tell you for a fact, people are going to see you and remember you as, oh, is that lady or is that guy that's always sharing the story about their health journey. And so people don't realize that the stories that you share can effectively brand you. So you have to be really intentional about the stories that you share. I just wanted to state that. That's how important stories are, and that's how powerful stories are, in the sense that if you can decide right now to share specific stories about specific areas of your life, in no time, on a consistent basis, in no time, people are going to see you as that person. They would immediately link that conversation that you're having to you. So it's so important to be very intentional about the stories that you tell. With that said, you asked a very important question. How do you start? How do you know what stories to share for somebody in business who's thinking that? I already said this before, but I will reiterate. The first thing that I would advise for you to do is simply ask yourself, what purpose is this story that I want to share? Always have that at the back of your mind before you share any story. Of what purpose is this story? What do I want this story to do? Not just for you sharing that story, but for the people who are exposed to the story. Do you want to inspire someone? Then absolutely share the story about something inspirational. Your journey to wealth, your journey to from poor to reach, your story about how you got into the career path that you're doing right now, right? Inspire somebody there, motivate them. That's absolutely fine. But if you are sharing stories for business without a purpose, it will show, because over time you would have stories that are a bit disjointed. So you're sharing one story now, next week you're sharing another story, the other week you're sharing another story, and it looks like, okay, so who is this person, right? And a big part of authenticity, I was going to also state, is consistency in your messaging. So people don't realize that if you are not consistent in the stories that you are sharing, I'm not saying share one story over and over again, and that's not even a bad thing. You can absolutely share one story over and over again and just change the style and method, right? But you also have to be consistent in what you're saying and how you're saying. Tanya shared a very important point about your tone. So if you know your tone is a soft tone, you don't want to then sound harsh or rash or sound straight to the point, because then you're inconsistent in how you are communicating. So really, really look at, like I said in the beginning, what is the purpose of this story that I am sharing? And what do I want people to take away from this story that I am sharing? Do I want them to be inspired, motivated? Do I want them to be clients? Then share stories that show your strengths as a business owner. Share stories that show your uniqueness as a business. Share stories that highlight what makes you different from competitors. You can essentially do that with your stories.